on, let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's MVP chances. Obviously, I know Lamar very well. I know you like Lamar. I know you watch a fair amount of Ravens games. I want you to go first, and then I'll build on to it. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson and the MVP right now?
So, I think that he's a guy I'll say this first. I think he's a guy that's not going to get it. However, if I had to vote, I would vote for Lamar this year. I really would. I don't think the Ravens are that great of a team. And they are good because Lamar, this year especially, is the best 4-minute quarterback in the NFL. What we've seen almost routinely. I've done this like a couple weeks in a row now, I feel like. When there's been some close games, I've told this to my roommate who he doesn't follow football like I do. I go, hey, look, like it was the game. What was the Monday Night Football game? Was it the Colts?
Colts.
The Colts game and last week's game against the Vikings. Both times I said, hey, well, the Colts one was better because they were down by so much. I said, this is a vintage Lamar Jackson is going to score every single time to close out the game and they're going to win in a crazy game. And he said, yeah. How much are they down by? And I forgot how much it was. And he said, yeah,
19.
not going to happen. I said, watch, I'm going to come back in here. I come back in like an hour and a half later and go, guess what? He's like, what? Ravens won. Lamar just had, like, they scored every single time in the game. He does that routinely. His ability, like, to push the ball downfield this year, maybe not like his ability, but how he does it is the best of his career. This is his best passing season. It's not even close. And you look around and go, well, what was that problem? Oh, that's right. You had Boykin and Snead as receivers for him. Now you have Bateman, Hollywood playing his best football, Mark Andrews, and Sammy Watkins. Looks a lot better. Looks a lot better when you give this dude some weapons. Their running game isn't even as good as it has been in years past. And it's kind of forced Lamar into playing hero ball almost every single week. And he steps up to the plate every single time. So if I had a vote, I'd go for him. The problem is the touchdown numbers aren't really there. And that's why he's not going to win tonight, I don't think. But I would vote for him.
Yeah. The touchdown numbers are something to look at. And it's just, like, if you look at it, Lamar Jackson right now is on pace for, I believe, 4,500 yards passing and 1,300 yards rushing, which would maybe be one of the most ridiculous seasons in the history of the NFL. I mean, considering, 1,000 yards rushing by a quarterback's been done 3 times, twice by Lamar Jackson. But, no quarterbacks are throwing for like 3,500 yards rushing for 1,000 yards. Lamar's on pace for 4,500. But the thing that that's so interesting about him is if the Ravens win, it is 100% because of Lamar Jackson. The Ravens haven't won a game this year where you look at it and you're not like, that was all Lamar Jackson. Even when he doesn't look like he statistically has a great game. For example, the Chargers game, like, he didn't have an amazing game against the Chargers by any means. I think he threw 2 interceptions. But it was like he controlled that entire game. And not once has any person that watched the Ravens game come out and been like, well, that was a great game by the Ravens starting running back. Whether it's Latavius Murray or Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman or Tyson Williams, there's never been a single game where people have gone out of it and said, that was a great game by that player. Even Mark Andrews. People don't come out of games and saying, like, after the Colts game, nobody came out and was like, what a game by Mark Andrews. He had like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns and like totally carried that team on his back.
No. I had so many people tell me, man, Mark Andrews is going insane tonight.
He's going insane. Yeah, but that's also because it's Monday Night Football and everybody's coming back at fantasy football.
That's
I know
true.
Because he led my fantasy football comeback. I was down by like 45 points going into that game. But it was all the talk was about Lamar Jackson. All the talk was about that. Even Hollywood Brown has had some monster weeks this year. But it's all Lamar Jackson. After the Kansas City Chiefs game comeback, it was like, wow. That was unbelievable what Lamar Jackson just did. And that happens weekly. Even against the Detroit Lions, a game in which Justin Tucker hits the NFL record 67-yard game-winning field goal. What happened on that drive? 4th and 19 backed up practically near his own end zone. Throws a monster throw to Sammy Watkins all the way down the field, which sets them up literally for the kick. Like, all of those games, they're all coming down to Lamar Jackson. Adolfo away against the Kansas City Chiefs punches the ball out on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it was like, oh, yeah, that's the game. Ravens just got to get one first down, then it's over. The Ravens don't get the first down in 3 plays. So then everybody in primetime football is looking at Lamar Jackson tell John Harbaugh, no. Runs that QB power to the left side, gets that first down. Last week against the Minnesota Vikings, the Ravens down by 14 points, 24-10. And this is when people are starting to have to watch this game because the other games in the NFL were really not that great on Fox. So they started showing that game. But Lamar Jackson, 4th down and 9, they go for it. Then they get up to the goal line, and they're coming out, and John Harbaugh's kind of looking over it. You see Lamar Jackson look over the sideline? We're going for this. Throws it to his fullback, Patrick Ricard, for the touchdown. We come out of a lot of games from all these other quarterbacks and say, what a great game by that guy. Tennessee Titans game for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know how many people were like, oh my gosh, Kyler Murray. It was like Chandler Jones had like 5 sacks in the first half, and he absolutely ruined the Tennessee Titans, and they were able to win that game. Like, it was, there's games for every other player. And then when the Ravens lose, people blame Lamar. The Raiders lost. It was blamed on Lamar by a lot of people. I don't think it should have been blamed on Lamar. Lamar Jackson had one of the worst offensive line performances I think I've ever seen a quarterback have. But, he fumbles the ball late in the game.
Also, weren't they not even running their full offense?
No, they weren't running their full offense because
running backs.
They had to get a new running back. Like that, they got all their new running backs basically a week before that. They got to have their first reps running read option with Lamar Jackson, so they couldn't run their offense. Still go into overtime. The Bengals game, that was just an atrocious performance by not just Lamar. I mean, Lamar didn't play terribly. I didn't think he played very well. I thought he played pretty poorly, especially by this year's standards. But it was like, that was terrible by Marlon Humphrey. Jamar Chase went all over him. That was terrible by Patrick Queen and the linebackers. Like, when they're losing, it's not really because of Lamar. It's because Lamar wasn't the best player of the week. Is when they don't win, is when he isn't that top tier best, honestly playing like the best quarterback in the NFL. They don't win unless he plays like he's the best quarterback in the NFL. They don't. No other team, no other quarterback in the, you can say that for the Jets, I guess. They won't win unless their quarterback plays like the best quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, sure, Mike White, great player. But none of the other quarterbacks in the running for MVP, they don't go into the week and teams aren't saying, we only need to stop this guy. You don't play against the Rams and say, it's just Matthew Stafford. Stop Stafford. Stop Stafford. Because they
what about the Packers? I'm just asking. I'm just trying to.
No. The Packers are an interesting one. But even when you say the Packers, it's like, oh, stop Aaron Rodgers. Is it really stop Aaron Rodgers? Or is it stop Devontae Adams? Because Devontae Adams is so deadly. And then it's also, you got to stop the run game because Matt LaFleur has a great run scheme coming from, shout out to Kyle Shanahan. But
man, everyone wants to fire.
Yes. But like, that's the thing is like all those guys, let's see, Kyler Murray. You're looking at DeAndre Hopkins. You're looking at it's like yeah, it stopped Kyler. It stopped the whole passing game. It stopped the wide receivers that are ridiculous and things like that. The Raven and block Chandler Jones. And the Packers defense has been playing very, very well. The Ravens is literally Lamar Jackson. Teams don't go into that week and say like, oh man, Hollywood Brown. We really got to do everything. And I like Hollywood.
There's one team that did. The one team that clamped him. The Lions.
The Lions. Yeah, they absolutely.
I don't think they clamped him. But
3 touchdown passes that would have combined for about 180 yards.
You know that game will be used against his case for MVP.
Oh,
you know that, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't know that. Like that.
He probably threw for another 115 yards and 3 more touchdowns.
Literally in those 3 plays.
3, and it wasn't like, oh, that would have been a tough catch. It was wide open drops.
And there were dots. They were dots. There was one that was like, there was 2 guys. There was a safety in a corner, like in pretty good spot, and he threw it like the outside shoulder where the safety wouldn't have a play on it, and where only Hollywood would, and it was like right in his hands, and he dropped it. And it was like, dude, that was like a 60-yard dot. Like like not really on a rope because like he's throwing a 3 ball, but
yeah,
it's like as money as you can get on that throw.
Yeah, I mean the guy that you compare those types of throws to is like a Russell Wilson throw, except for some reason the Ravens have bricks for hands instead of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, who always seem to catch those moon balls that he likes to throw. But like you look at that, but how much? So you're obviously not a Ravens fan. So, you know, when I like talk about Ravens players, like I'm so high on guys. I tell you about this, and I'm like, dude, Marquise Brown, dude's an absolute monster. Draft him in fantasy. You're welcome. But like I'd hype up all these guys. Most people have really low perspective, especially coming into this year, of like Hollywood Brown. People didn't have high expectations for Sammy Watkins.
Dude, you know what I traded him for? Devontae Parker in a third. In a dynasty league, it saved my season. Like that specific move, like that's how good their passing offense has been. And it's because of Lamar. It's not like Hollywood just came out like, oh, he's completely different.
Lamar's just hitting
improved. But Lamar's just been better. And it's not like Lamar's been bad. He's already won MVP. That's also why I think it hurts his chance. I really don't think he's going to get it. Like, I honestly don't even think he's going to finish super high. He has what? Let me see right now. I just looked at it. 13 touchdowns, 7 picks. There's no way. He only has 2 on the ground. But he has played like the best player in the league. That's what I think. And I think it doesn't get enough credit. I think their offense also is like, it's completely about him. They've faced so many injuries. They faced probably the most adversity in the league. You could bring up some other guys. I was going to say you could bring up Derek Carr. But I don't know. I think if he was to win it won't happen because the numbers, but like he's the guy if you don't have to bring up the numbers in the discussion, which unfortunately you do, even though it's not like.
You know what the MVP is going to come down to? If Lamar can win it. You know who he plays this year still? He's got 2 games against the Browns, which people are really high on the Browns. He plays the Packers, and he plays the Rams in Week 17. Those could be games. Like playing the Rams in Week 17, if he's putting up similar numbers, even if he doesn't have the touchdowns, I don't think it's as necessary to have the touchdowns because everybody knows that when they score, because they still have a good scoring offense, they're putting up points. The issue is they get down to the 1 yard line and it's, oh, let's punch it in with Latavius Murray or Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman or whatever. Everybody knows it's Lamar. It's not like I think it's different with other teams like the Rams. If like Stafford didn't have a lot of touchdowns and it was Darrell Henderson punching it in and everyone's like, oh, but they have a good rushing attack. Everyone knows that the Ravens offense is passing it's Lamar and rushing it's Lamar as well. Because no running back has had a single good game. But like they still play some really good football teams. Now they have a big Thursday night game against the Dolphins. The last 3 games the Ravens have played the Dolphins have been some of the most ridiculous performances ever. It's like they've outscored them by like 120 points in the last 3 games. But playing against the Browns in Sunday Night Football and then the Rams in Week 17, I think those are going to be the crucial games. And then obviously the Packers just in like a Sunday standard game. Like, do you think that like knowing that they still have, because they also like their schedule is tough. People see the Bengals as a decent team. The Steelers, we knew before the year, underrated. We told everybody, bet the over for this team's win because they're going to get it. This is a really solid football team. Ravens still play them twice. Big time rivalry matchup that a lot of people key in to see. So, like, do you think, like, I don't know. It's just, for me, like, they have so many marquee games. Like, Lamar beat Mahomes. They changed the narrative. Like, it's all comebacks now. I mean, Lamar Jackson has 3 double-digit comeback wins this year, and it's all him. And I feel like, I know you said, like, you would give your vote to him, but, like, for him to win MVP. Yeah, I know. You said you would. I thought you said but you don't think he's going to win it. For him to win it, what does he need to do? Win it by the league standards, not by your standards.
Yeah, like the league standards, he has to have a ton of touchdowns. And it's stupid. That shouldn't be how he wins it, but that's how I think he has to win it. And he has to have monster performances in those primetime spots. One thing I got to note, this is insane. So say it's not an extra game this year. Right now, I believe Lamar would still be be able to be on pace to throw over 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he's on pace to throw for 4,400. So let's take off 300 yards, right? He would be on pace for over 1,000 yards more. His previous high, or around 1,000 yards, because his previous high is 3,100, which he had in his MVP year. Insane. Absolutely insane. That's like the Josh Allen jump of like 11% completion percentage. That's that level. That's
1,000-yard yardage bonus. And still rushing for 1,000 yards. Because that's the thing is like, it's not like normally like if people expected Lamar to throw for 4,000 yards, I know some people did. They expected it to be because he wasn't running the ball more. He's running the ball more than he did in previous years. And he's throwing the ball better than he has in previous years. Like that's the thing that like is so wild. And he's obviously a quarterback that is talked about constantly on national media. It's just about whether or not the narrative is good or bad. Because it's a lot of times it seems bad. But final thing that I'm going to ask you about Lamar, then we'll move on. Stephen A. Smith came out today and he was talking about the MVP and he said it was Brady. Fine. He said Lamar can't win MVP because he struggled in too many moments this year.
Who said this?
Stephen A. Smith. I just want to see your reaction for that.
He doesn't watch, bro. He doesn't. There's no way that you would have watched Lamar and been like, yeah, man, he just struggled in these big moments. Wait a second. He's done the polar opposite. In fact, he's excelled more than any player in the biggest moments this season. I'm telling you, dude, and I know you know this, but there's legit not a better quarterback right now in a 4-minute offense. And Tom Brady plays in the NFL right now. And I haven't seen Lamar like not score in a 4-minute offense unless there's a turnover. And like if there's a turnover, it's like a fumble. It's not even like he's throwing a pick.
Yeah.
I've seen him do it in the first half, but it's like, oh, I threw 2 picks in the first half, and I don't think he's had a game like that. But like,
I think it was against the Chiefs that happened.
It was against the Chiefs, yeah. And then he goes out.
And then what happened in the second half? He went crazy.
Let's turn on real quick. I'm going to score every single time in 4 minutes, and if my defense gets 1 turnover, we come back from a 14-point deficit. Look at that.
Every single time.